3, 2, 1. Well, you're late. Welcome to the Punch Drunk Podcast. I am your host, Paul Brooks, joined always by Joey and Michael over at the end. Commonly known in the fight community as the Brooks Brothers. Hi, guys.
Howdy.
Now, we've got with us today is two very special guests. We're going to go into a couple things we have to do first, and then we're going to get with you guys right away. Because we talked about it on our last episode. We held true to our word. We got you in the studio, so we're excited to have you here.
Excited to be here.
So let's get to Joey first. Mm-hmm. All right, Joey, you had a couple of things. You really wanted to come clean with something, Joey.
Well, before that, we did a Christmas draft last time, and we did the movie draft winner. It was voted, and from 66 to 33%, the winner was my dad.
Yeah,
Brooks.
Yeah, that's right. I won.
Michael lost the upset.
Thank you,
I don't
folks.
agree with that. Most people don't agree with that, but somehow the votes randomly in the night
kind of made no sense. Most people did agree that I won.
Yeah, it was randomly in the night. It shot up, so whatever.
Thank you.
And then, there's accusations coming on.
This wasn't like any Maricopa County bullshit, right? This is real voting that didn't happen overnight. Didn't change. I held the lead all the way through.
All right, yeah, but
Great.
Accusations.
Well, go ahead.
The diehard accusations. A lot of people said I didn't watch the movie, even though I picked it.
Yeah.
And I said that I watched it, and it made it very obvious that I watched it. But I want to come clean and say that I nenever watched the movie.
Fraud.
And I do admit that I am a fraud, but I'm a man enough.
How could you pick it? I don't understand.
Because that was the
Because I looked up
controversial
best
opinion.
movies.
Fraud.
Google
I
best
looked
Christmas
up
movies.
best Christmas movies.
That ruins the whole draft.
There.
That means the whole draft is fake. We have to redo it.
No, so what it means is that he automatically was removed from that contest. You know, he came clean, but he's a fraud.
Suspended for this draft. Then?
So we just have to now, we have got to make sure.
I want to own up to it.
So when he does his picks, whether it be movies or songs, we're going to ask him a little bit about the movie.
Why'd you pick them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Tell me a little bit about it, Joey, so that we know you're not a fraud
I
out
still
there.
haven't seen the movie Die Hard. And second off, that was never in the rule book to not look it up. I know it was it was on the edge, but it was never in the rule book, so that's why I did it.
Right.
So,
Okay, well, we're glad you came clean with that.
Yeah.
And to admit to everybody that you were a fraud. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that'll change.
Probably not.
Let's go with our parlays. How do we do with the parlays? And can we talk about Michael for a little bit? He had a
one of the worst
big
performances.
week last week, right? 0-4. Good job.
I can't hit a bet this week right now. So it's this week or nothing. If I don't hit this week, I'm going to take next week off.
Okay, so let's hit the parlays real quick, all right? I'm just excited for our guests right now, so I want to get going on this. Mm-hmm. Let's go to the parlays. Michael, let's see if you can rebound from your 0-4 disastrous last week. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. What do you got?
Commanders over Giants money line. Giants lost the last 3 or 4, and I think Taylor Heineke's just going to do what he does.
Yep.
Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he's going to go off today.
Yeah.
So got Ravens. Vikings, I think Vikings versus Jets both have playoff implications. I think the Vikings come out strong. And then Packers over the Bears because the Bears blow, and I'm not ever taking them again. So
you have finally come to the realization the Bears will hurt.
Changing things up this week.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go next.
And to be fair, last week when I picked the Bears, though, at that time, Justin Fields was still in. He didn't get. I think he wasn't out until Friday. So, because I made a claim that.
I don't think it would have mattered. The Bears suck.
I know, but I'm just saying that's why I picked the Bears last week on the podcast.
That's fine. So, Joey, what do you got?
I'll go next. I almost had the exact same picks as you, but instead of going Green Bay, I went the Falcons over the Steelers. Steelers suck. I have the Giants against the Commanders, the Vikings over the Jets, and the Ravens over the Broncos. And,
those are pretty good. So apparently we all like the Ravens because I got Cleveland over Houston. I got Baltimore over Denver. I got Dallas over Indy, and I've got Cincy over KC,
Really?
and that's a tough one.
I don't think that's gonna hit.
Right, but I've got they're a
Cincy healthy this
Cincinnati's taking 2 points. It's a tight game,
Are they healthy though?
but I'm the one that apparently wants to put all on the line, and I'll say Cincy.
Yeah, but are they healthy? I mean,
They're banged up. Yeah, they're banged up, but I don't think anybody's not dressing yet. So, but they're banged up for sure. But those are my 4. Okay, Joey, you want to go over analytics?
Yeah, analytics. The last podcast on YouTube was the most viewed video we had for our podcast. So
Excellent.
Nice. Our views total on our shorts is well over like about 3,000 views. So that's great. We should do the same thing this week, even more. So that'd be fun. But I do want to go in another parlay. The Rangers are absolute frauds. They suck. The worst NHL team. They lost the Blackhawks last night. I had a 6-leg parlay, and it all came down to the Rangers, and they lost. They stole my coins, and they're absolute frauds. So I'll never bet on the Rangers ever again. That's all I want to say.
Okay. That was it. You slammed that down. Okay. So first of all, thank you for all the followers, listeners. Keep liking it. Keep sharing it. Subscribe it. And today, really, really happy you guys can come in. We've got 2 very, very special guests. Now, we went on the air a couple of weeks ago, just before Thanksgiving, the Eve, and we had a special show. We talked about a massive, massive state title on the line. And we said, we all picked easily that Tony would win this. And he did, and we said we would get him in the studio, and we have done that. So it's a great pleasure to welcome into the studio Tony Andreozzi, the now reigning Massachusetts middleweight title holder, and there's his belt right in front of him. And his coach, probably the best in the area. I've seen a lot of coaches throughout my time. But we're going to get into your style, how long you've been around for in a short amount of time, and how many champion fighters you have at the amateur and pro level right now. Amazing. But please welcome Aaron Bernardo and Tony Andreozzi. Welcome to the studio, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Tony, we were at the fight. Now, I've seen you fight before. We saw you in Framingham, right? And you've got that way about you that can get under any opponent's skin. The tongue sticking out like Gene Simmons from Kiss. You're going to hit him a little of that. Doesn't matter. You are probably, pound for pound, the toughest guy that I've seen step in the squared circle.
Thank you. That's all part of the game plan. Get under their skin, get them out of their game plan, take them out of their game plan, and they play right into mine. It works every time.
How well did you know this fighter that you fought on Thanksgiving?
You know, pretty well, I guess. We had one of our guys fought him twice, and the second time they were supposed to fight, there was talks if Keenan wasn't going to make the fight due to getting some medicals together last minute, I was possibly going to step in and fight him. Now, that was back in June, right?
Yeah, June.
May. I think we talked about it. You know, the end of May is when it became a conversation. So from May on, the guy's been on my radar. I've been thinking about fighting him. You know, we watched all the tapes when Keenan fought him a year ago. You know, so he's been on the radar for a while.
Yeah.
Studied a lot
Keenan,
of him. We're able to watch 8 rounds with him and Keenan. So
yeah, Keenan actually beat him in his debut.
Yep.
It was a lot closer contested fight, but we eked out the decision.
And just for the folks who are watching, but Keenan is another pro fighter in your gym. Another punishment striking.
And in the rematch, we weren't able to do it was still a very close fight, but Julian did enough to get the win. And he was actually supposed to fight one of our other pros, Brian Marino, who he's been on a little bit of a layoff. So,
Yep.
I've basically, like Tony said, Julian's been on our radars for a while now.
So this guy you fought, was he taller and longer reach than you?
much.
So did that change your fight plan? Did you have to get in
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So honestly, I didn't take into account how long his whatever this part to this part of your arm is, because his elbows were freaking brutal, and a lot of my inside work I had to step off of because I was eating lots of elbows off the forehead.
Yeah.
So that definitely affected it, and the fact that he is probably the longest puncher that I've ever faced. And I was sparring with a light heavyweight a lot for this last fight, and he even said, he's like, man, I'm big, I'm bigger, stronger, but he's probably got an inch, maybe two, on my jab, and I didn't realize it till the night. Actually, I didn't realize how long it was till I was looking at some photos after.
That guy's been a super middleweight before.
Yeah. There's a picture of me landing my left, and I'm slipping his jab, landing it, and it's right on his chin, and his punch, his knuckles are almost touching the other side of my shoulder.
Yeah.
because I slipped it and I was turned like that. His whole entire hand's beyond my head. That's how much longer he was than me. So it definitely changed the way I had to fight. But it all worked into my favor because take away his length, that big, contribution he has to his skill is that long length. And as soon as I took that away, everybody crumbles.
So did you fight that fight? Did you go both orthodox and southpaw?
Yeah, I
Switch it up a little bit.
I fought this one much more southpaw minded.
Yeah.
And when I say that, it's the fighting mindset. When I'm at orthodox, I'm more of I try and fight orthodox more of like a medium range.
Yep.
Inside, lots of punches. I have more power with my right, but I usually end up throwing more volume. It's more of an offensive mindset, whereas southpaw, it's lots of slips, lots of slip and ripping, countering. I'm very counter heavy, so this camp, I was very much southpaw mindseted due to the length, and this next one I'll probably end up being a little more orthodox mindseted. He's not as long, he's only a little bit longer than I am, so I won't have to worry about negating that super long jab. So I'll be able to be a little more offensive minded.
We went to that fight where you got the belt, and this one here, you seemed to really throw that straight left that just blasted his face.
Oh yeah,
in every round.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you, Coach.
And was that from you? Was that during the fight, or did you
I've been telling Tony
throw it
for the last 2 years that
Yeah.
his best punch is his straight left.
Oh my God, it was crazy.
And he doesn't use it. In his previous fights, he very, very rarely uses it.
Absolutely crazy.
And I told him, like, man, listen, this is the fight to use it. And to his credit, he used it beautifully. So it was good.
Then we'll get into the way you coach, because I'm just more impressed with the way I've seen you coach with the amateurs and the pros when he comes out of the corner. So your next fight, you're going to defend this title?
Yes.
And you're scheduled sometime in March?
Yeah, March 11th out Mass Mutual in the Springfield.
Nice.
Is it at Mass Mutual?
Yeah, Mass Mutual Center in Springfield, Mass. Yeah.
Nice. And we're going to get more information on that as we get further down the road. We'll put it out there.
Big rematch.
Yes.
Big rematch, actually, yeah.
It is?
Yeah, it was our second loss, but it was probably Tony's breakout performance where the kid was 3-0 at the time. We were 0-1 at the time. We moved up a weight division. Everything probably told us not to take the fight. But, Tony's like, I want to prove myself. And it was actually the fight that got us signed to the promotion Granite Chin because of how impressive Tony was and how much balls he showed, quote unquote, from him.
Just bigger and better things for you.
Yes, sir.
Coming up.
Fight.
Really, really impressed. I don't want to be the only one. Michael, you got...
Yeah,
You handle it well.
I mean, I think what's unusual here is the four faces you see. They're all a team together. And first of all, as a parent, I just want to say that I've never seen it. When I buy into something, you buy in. You're all in, and you realize what is best for your kids. But when you talk about like a fight team, a team of brothers, a family, you guys epitomize that more than anybody I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of fight teams going around. You go to the circuit and you see all the different groups coming in, and they're all coming in on their own. Some kids if they're not on the card, they don't even go, right? You guys are a band of brothers, truly.
Oh, truly, yeah.
And you're always wearing the garb, the punishment striking jacket. Even if the kid's not fighting, there was one of his teammates in the stands watching him in the crowd, somewhere, somehow, helping out. Just amazing. So let me ask you this. Aaron, when did you start, and what got you into coaching, training, managing? What made you go that route? Because you used to be a fighter yourself.
Yeah, I was a fighter myself. I was I was an amateur. Nothing too crazy. You know what I mean? I had done some local little amateur tournaments. The Mass vs. Rhode Island show was probably the biggest thing I ever did, and just a lot of smokers. So at the time, you're talking like 2008, 2009. Boxing, especially amateur boxing, wasn't relatively as big, and social media wasn't relatively as big,
Right.
But locally in my area, I built a little bit of a rapport with the fighters, and I'd been in there with some tough guys, and I'd done some smokers against some tough guys that I probably shouldn't even have been in there with. I was a lot younger than them, but I always had a pretty good talent for the sport and just a huge passion for it. So I adapted to things, pretty quickly, and kind of earned my stripes in that respect. And then 2013 is when I had my last fight. I fought the PAL heavyweight champ at the time. I lost that fight, and then I pretty much just got thrown into coaching. I was training at JoJo's Boxing, and the program got closed down. The guy that was coaching, he moved to Chicago, and I briefly trained at Libby too, and like Mike Perry and those guys. But yeah, so pretty much my coach moved away, and the guy that owned the MMA gym that we were renting space out of, he was like, hey, he's like, what do you think about coaching? And like, you know, I see the way you are with the guys. You're very intuitive, you know, like you have good eyes, you see things differently. And I was like, I don't know, man. I was 20 years old at the
It's
time.
true though. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm 20 years old.
Yep.
Like, I don't know, man. He's like, I know, but, and he said this to me, and it stands true to this day. He's like, listen, you're very talented, but like, there's not enough coaches, you know, like coaches that can, you know, make talent. And I think you can do that. He goes, why don't you start your own thing here? And I was like, all right. So I started, you know, 20 years old. I pretty much got thrown into it. I just joined the academy as a CO at Dartmouth. And it was a free gig too. I didn't even know you could make money doing boxing. I didn't even know you could make money teaching boxing. So it was purely just passion. I was there 3 to 4 days a week. My wife, always supportive, but like it was a tough time. You know what I mean? Like we moved out, we're on our own, doing our own thing, and like pretty much more than half of the week I'm at a boxing gym.
And it's scary because it's new.
It's new.
You don't know which one's going to take
so,
you.
So I was working nights and during my days, barely sleeping and training boxers and stuff, and kind of just building my resume up. And pretty much I worked at a couple different gyms, so I pretty much just kept it up. I fought myself a few times in between some exhibitions, and you know, just always stayed in the sport. And pretty much in 2017, I started working at Pro Fitness in Fall River. And that was a gym that I had done a lot of training at. And Ben Pitsley was a very good friend of mine. And he was investing in me. And pretty much he was like, hey, listen, I've been wanting you for years. I've been wanting you to come down here for years and teach. And I'm going to give you a few classes. And before that, I had worked at a gym called One Fight. I pretty much worked everywhere. But I worked at a gym called One Fight, which used to be Striking Beauties. And the reason I had left there was they were so against the fighters. And I've taught box fair, I've taught women, children, everything, but like fighting is my passion.
Yep.
Building a fighter, and that's why like that relationship I have with these guys is so special, because like I love fighters. You know what I mean? Like I just love fighters. Like I love their mentality. As much as a pain in the butt they can be. You know what I mean? As much as of a head case as they can be. I think my God-given ability is to be able to speak to fighters and get through to fighters and their mentalities, and like not only them but their wives and their girlfriends, and explain to them what they're going through, because I've been through it. You know what I mean? All that stuff. And basically what happened was I told Ben, I was like, listen, man, I'll come here, I'll work here. Obviously I don't have the funds to have my own gym right now. This is a beautiful facility, but I'm starting my own team. And I want it to be a banner that these guys can hold on to and then they can fight under. And he's like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, we don't have anything going on right now. Like, rep your banner, go ahead. He's like, just help out my gym too. And these guys know I'm a huge comic book nerd. And it was 2017. I'm sitting on my couch in my apartment. I told my wife, I'm like, I'm sick of this. I'm starting my own team. And she's like, all right, cool. And one of my favorite superheroes was the Punisher. So I was like, you know, that's a pretty cool name. So I'll go with Punishment. And at the time, not only had I worked with boxers, but I worked with some mixed martial artists.
Yep.
I'd worked with a lot of kickboxers and Muay Thai fighters with their hands. I love striking. I love martial arts. I consider boxing a martial art. So I wanted to kind of make it that broader scope. So I called it Punishment Striking. And over the years, and these guys know all the combinations that are on the boards at the gym, it's a system that I've developed over the years that I've been doing this, working with different coaches and different fighters and different styles. So Punishment Striking Systems was the fit. I thought PSS kind of just rolled off the tongue. You know what I mean? It was just something quick that PSS, you know. And Rocky Balboa, his colors were black and yellow. And he was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably the reason I got into it was watching Rocky movies with my dad.
Nice.
And I picked the colors black and yellow. Nobody else is really black and yellow. Even till this day, you don't see a lot of black and yellow.
Nope.
So I kind of just, boom, 2017, developed PSS. And from 2017 to 2020, I pretty much worked either out of Pro Fitness. I ended up becoming a co-owner of that gym when we moved to Somerset, which was huge. It went from Pro Fitness Fall River to Pro Fitness and MMA. And yeah, I just repped PSS out of there. And then COVID hit, and then pretty much we went into the basement.
Yeah.
And I turned my whole entire gym into a basement. all black and yellow, bags, everything, sparring down there. That's where I met Tony. That's where Tony came in.
That's what I was going to ask you. How did you two meet up with each other?
Yeah, so basically, Tony and Joey, I got a package deal with them, which was a fantastic package deal because they're two of my best friends now. But they both trained at Icon, and we had done some exhibitions down there and fought the Icon guys a lot.
Wow.
And I had a couple guys that even went against Tony. And this was when Tony was just like a brawler, just a crazy guy. I always knew he was tough, though. And he hit me up. He's like, hey, man, during COVID, you guys know it was a crazy time.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for martial arts and boxing in general. So my basement, my basement was like a safe haven for people. It was an underground fight club. And on a Saturday morning, I would literally have 30 dudes. Like, you know, when you go to like the pumpkin picking patches and you see everybody parked on the grass, you guys see my front lawn. Like, my house isn't huge, but literally cars parked on my front lawn in my backyard.
When there were regulations going on there, right?
When there was regulations going on, I was getting the cops called on me. Cars going up and down the street. It was insane. And there's 30 fighters in my basement banging it out. But that was like a safe haven to them.
And that's not a big basement.
It's not, no. It's probably, 700 square feet, if that.
That was tight quarters.
You do what you got to do to survive. And that's almost like in the fighter's mentality. Do what you got to do to survive.
Yeah, and I opened up my business in the midst of a pandemic, which I'll always be proud of till this day. You know, like 2020, like pretty much I had people, you know, in my basement. At this time, now I was a full-time coach. I was a gym owner, but I pretty much had lost my gym due to COVID. Income stopped.
Yeah.
Memberships froze.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I got 2 kids
And
at
everybody.
the time. We're scared to death. What the hell am I going to do? So I flipped the switch, turned it into my basement, just persevered. And, Tony and Joey started coming down, and I basically looked at them, and I was like, listen, man, you know, nothing bad against Icon. You know what I mean? There's some good guys there. But like I just said before, I'm a fighter's coach. Like, if you want to fight, if you want to compete, if you want to go out there, and I make people who – my favorite thing that I've ever done is taking people that people don't think they're going to be anything. A lot of coaches just want to take the talented guy. They just want to take the guy that has like the natural ability, the natural skills. I don't. I like the misfits. Those are my favorite kind of people.
That you can kind of groom into something.
And my coaching style too is not like, I don't want everybody to box like me. I don't want everybody to box like this one guy that I boxed.
Right.
You know, this one guy that I trained. Everybody has their own physical attributes. There's not one fighter on my team that has the same style. You know what I mean? Tony and Joey, perfect example. Completely different styles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they were training together at one point by themselves. So I looked at them and I was like, hey, listen, like, you're going to be with me. And they laughed. They giggled, you know. And sure as shit, a few months later.
Look where we are today.
2 years later.
So obviously neither one of you can do what you do and do well without the support of your better halves, your wives.
Yeah, team effort on both our parts.
Absolutely. You have 30 guys in the basement during COVID, and your wife is upstairs?
She's upstairs,
with kids.
With the 2 toddlers. And,
that's crazy.
Yeah, sometimes 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, speed bags going off in my basement, and we're just upstairs trying to like watch a movie, and you know, I'm trying to give everybody the access so they pay me monthly, and yeah, she understood, you know, and talk about, you know, I left a state job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had all the benefits.
Yep.
Everything secure, like things that guys dream of, but like my happiness was just so low, and I just felt so stuck, and she's the one that told me like, hey, like, just quit. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah. She's like, just quit. She's like, you did it. Like, I went through college now. I have my degree. Like, I'm making good money now. Like, I can support us for a little bit. Like, go build this dream. I believe in you. And look at it now, you know.
And I've been to a bunch of fights, and I've met both your wives, and beautiful supporters of you fighting, you coaching, and even a support of the team, because they're always there supporting all the members.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
My wife's got a punishment shirt on every day, I think. She wears it more than me.
It's a fight family, so all of our families are included.
You say that, and you mean it.
Oh,
you know, that's the thing. There's people just say, yeah, we're a family. No, you guys really are. You guys cheer each other on. You're always supportive of each other. You drive to wherever somebody else is fighting.
My kids think Tony's their uncle.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It really is.
And he is.
I was
kids
more
don't
nervous
think he has
Thanksgiving
face.
Eve than I was for my own fight.
You were.
Just because he's like a brother to me, so it's
Yeah.
just, I get more nervous watching other guys in the gym fight.
Tony's son calls me Coach. He thinks my name's Coach. It's hilarious.
I tried
That's
telling
funny.
him the other day. It was Aaron. He's looking at me.
No, it's Coach.
Confused, but Dad, you call him Coachy. Why?
Known as Coach.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about your team a little bit. You've got some successful amateur fighters. Some may be on the brink of turning pro.
Yeah, we have won over the years.
By the way, this is free form. You can give your shout outs to anybody you want, name anybody.
Yeah,
Who
they all
cares?
know who they are, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I literally have we've won 30 amateur championships.
30.
30. Yeah, we have 30 amateur titles in our gym. I added it all up. I have every single one counted on my phone. Our last one being Jonathan Delgado just took home the Marciano belt. But I mean,
saw that.
Just to name a few guys, I mean, you got Joey Souza. He's the 2022 147 Southern New England Golden Gloves champion.
Yep.
He won that with the duo Mason Almeida. Both guys have won WBC medals at the CES Amateur Championship show.
Powerful.
Mike Casato's also won that in his debut. Knocked out a guy who was 8-0, who's now a pro, to win that WBC title, which is just an amateur sanctioned belt medal. We got, I mean, pretty much just added up. I mean, we have 7 King of the Ring champions, 5 New England champions, 2 Golden Gloves champions. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Pretty much every tournament that we go to, we win.
That's an amazing portfolio.
Majority of the titles.
When you talk about that, just list off all those. The biggest, one of the most beautiful venues you could have locally on the USS Massachusetts.
Yeah.
These two fought on it. Now, Joey's only been fighting for less than a year, right?
Yep.
And you've got 2 belts.
Yep.
You got 1 belt.
Yep. Yeah,
I mean-
they're both battleship champions, and then Joey is the 147 youth champion in the King of the Ring.
And that was like quick call
That was,
to be
that was
made,
boxing for 2 days too,
and he had to cut weight in 3 days or whatever.
Yeah, or like 2 days, 3 days.
and went to prom the night before.
Yeah, probably.
And you called me. I was in the airport. I was in Denver,
Yep.
and I'm like, I don't even know if he's ready for this.
Against the 4-1 opponent. Yeah, I just went in there knowing that I had nothing to lose and just give it my all. So when I went in there, I just did what I could. I listened to Coach, what he was saying in the corner, and I just tried to go all out. And yeah, I got the victory decision.
Yeah, 3 CES WBCs, 7 IBF King of the Ring champions, 8 Battleship champions, 5 New England champions, and we have 1 Marciano champion right now. Crazy.
Folks who are watching are
One Chevy Pro.
And now we have our first professional champion in Tony Andreozzi. So now we have a professional boxing.
beautiful belt.
Yeah, we literally have a professional boxing champion in the gym, which is crazy. Dream come true.
That's an insane belt too. It's really nice.
That's the best belt in the gym. Like, I mean, fitting for a professional title. Those IBF belts, the King of the Ring belts, those are beautiful belts. Now it's and the New England Championship belts are beautiful too. But that belt is heavy.
Yeah.
That belt is deserving of a pro because that is a heavy title right there.
So we were at that fight, and you won it in my mind, and I think in everybody's mind. You won it easily. Okay. And I'm going to talk about something that may be sensitive because I know you don't want to talk about it because of the way you are as a fighter and you are as a coach. But I'm going to bring up the judging on this. Okay. So 2 judges had the thing beyond 2 points anyways.
Yeah.
Right. Which is an easy read,
Yep.
easy victory, and 6 rounds. The other one basically had it as a draw. Now, that's where I would have an absolute problem with
Yeah. And
what judge could ever see that as a draw where the other ones went easily balanced to one side only.
yeah, and that was and it was funny because that was the first score that was read off.
Oh yeah, that was the one.
So
I mean, you
excited.
must have just dropped when they said,
He looked over at his corner.
I
at
looked
his
over
opponent's
at
corner.
them with death in my eyes.
Yeah,
This is the coldest video of me just looking over.
it's ridiculous.
And I
Yeah.
just froze.
So Jackie Morrell, I actually don't know the judge that had it a draw, but Jackie Morrell had it 6-0, which is what I had it. And Jackie Morrell was a well-respected professional boxer in his own right, which is who I believe really should be judges, guys who have been in there and guys and My mother-in-law, she's a big supporter. She watches all the streams, and she was like, she knew I had pointed out that judge. She's like, he was glued to Tony's fight, like just every little aspect. It just he had a 6-0. Lori Purcell, who is one of the higher ups in USA boxing.
Yeah.
And she's very, very, very intelligent with the sport of boxing. She had it 4-2, which I could see.
I thought she had a 5-1.
No, she had a 4-2 actually. Yeah, which I thought if you had to give any round, it would be a 5-1. Maybe the 5th round, because I told Tony to cruise off in that round. I still thought he won the round, but if you want to talk about a slower output round, it would be the 5th round. A lot of times what happens, I believe, is that judges almost feel bad about giving landslide victories, especially in like the shorter round fights, and they want to give the other guy a little bit of credit, like, well, he still won. Let me just give 2 rounds to this guy so it doesn't seem crazy. And I think that was what happened in her situation.
And that's the problem I have, though, right? This is a professional fight.
Exactly. That shouldn't be the case.
This should never be the case. Oh, I'm going to feel bad for somebody. And we said, I think I had it at 5-1 too, because I told you, Michael, we talked about it. It was that 5th round that we didn't know which way. We're like, oh, shit.
And credit to Tony, you know what I mean? Maybe it wouldn't even have been that close if I didn't tell him, but, everybody knows this, you know what I mean? And we're not the only pros out there right now. We're still new in this game in the pro levels, you know what I mean? People don't even realize this, you know what I mean? And it's funny because we just had one of my fighters' friends call me and said that he could beat everybody up, but people are just so uneducated. People don't understand how much 6 3-minute rounds really is. In a professional fight, when you have 10-ounce little bricks being thrown at you, people don't understand. You guys how hard is it to go 3 2-minute rounds? It's exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty exhausting. Okay, now double that up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
3-minute rounds.
You're trying to control your breathing, not just throwing punches, but you're receiving them too.
Receiving them, and the cuts happen so much easier. The abrasions happen so much easier because of the smaller gloves. So my biggest concern in this fight was I know he was highly conditioned because he was going 8 rounds with a cruiserweight, pretty much majority of his camp. But my biggest thing was, let's make sure we bank these rounds. Let's make sure we bank him. And he came out fast like he always does, but his cardio was, top notch. And there's no doubt in my mind we banked the first 4 rounds. And every time he came back to the corner, I says, dominant, dominant, dominant. There was no way they could take those first 4 rounds from us.
Right.
My biggest thing was I didn't want him to gas out in the 5th and 6th and look dejected. And sometimes just looking more tired than you need to look can have an effect on the judges. And I didn't want that to happen with him. So I told him, I said, listen, let's cruise a little bit this round. Just box. Pump the jab. Try to counter off the ropes. Try to control the center. But don't go crazy with him. We don't have to fight with this guy. We already won.
Yeah.
We already won. Don't do nothing stupid. Don't give. And Tony listened fantastically, and he did that.
Well, whatever crowd was there, when they heard that announced, that first judge's score, I think people were looking at each other.
Yeah.
WTF throughout the crowd. And like, what?
Yeah,
questioning everything. And that's what I'm saying. This is a professional. And we've seen it on the amateur circuit a lot. We just witnessed one of the biggest, I thought was the worst judging up at Bally's when Alex Nineveh was fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He was robbed on that fight. I don't care.
Yeah,
he was robbed on that.
Yeah, I believe so as well.
And that's where you start seeing. But in the amateur level, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, at the amateur level, it is a learning lesson.
Yeah.
Right? Kids are going to learn whether or not, if you leave it to the judges, your technique, your mechanics, and so forth, to build you up to that pro level. But when you get to the pro level and you've got judging like that, that's a big problem. Yeah. That's a problem. And that's when it happens, because that hurts also the money, and how you advance.
It can hurt in the pros. Yeah. Like, if now that Tony won that fight, he's in position to defend his title. His presses will get bigger, but now he can literally, take a fight with somebody like a Nico Ali Walsh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On a big stage for a lot of money. Whereas now Julian, he's not in that position whatsoever. He just lost to a guy with a lesser record than him. But now Tony has showed he beat it. Tony's one of the few guys in the area that has wins. And even in my own pro team, he has wins with guys with winning records, with better records than he had at the time.
And way more fights.
You know what I mean? So, like, that says a lot. You can look at some of these guys that are 12-0. They probably have a guy in there. Most of those wins, those guys have one win. So.
Wow. right, we're going to take a quick break because we have another exciting segment that we want you to be a part of in this next one, okay?
Right.
So we're going to take a quick break.
Back in a word from our sponsor.
Don't be a fool. Come to HogWash BBQ. Don't be a fool. Come to HogWash BBQ.
And we're back. So, this segment is brought to you by, as you saw, our sponsor for today, HogWash BBQ. So, this is what they sell at HogWash BBQ. It is the barbecue sundae. It starts with a layer of cornbread, a layer of beans, a layer of mac and cheese, then pulled chicken, pulled pork. This is pulled pork we have, coleslaw, and then garnish with some nice onions.
Looks really good.
Oh, looks great.
Who's going first?
Well, digging in.
Coach is good with the food reviews, though. He's classic.
Oh, yeah,
so he's
let's
got
get
to
a
give a
food
nice review.
Classically trained.
He's a professional.
First of all, the coleslaw is the best around. And I'm very particular about coleslaw.
Let's do our best not to chew into the mic. I don't know
Yeah.
if people want to hear that.
Pulled pork's phenomenal. The juices, the nice juice from the coleslaw kind of drips down, cools off the barbecue, the pulled pork a lot. It's nice. Nice little contrast. That mac and cheese is something, boy.
That mac and cheese is the best around. That is literally the best.
Somehow in a link that anybody in the southeastern Mass region and Rhode Island, if you want the best barbecue around, you've got to hook up with HogWash BBQ. Amazing food.
On shit or hit, I think this barbecue sundae, it's a hit.
It's a hit.
I think it's a hit all around.
Absolutely a hit.
Not shit.
It is indeed not shit.
You got to make one of these for Joey Souza. I can almost guarantee you he's going to be blown away and say he's never had one before. I can't tell you how many times we've taken him out to eat, and he's just been like, "Bro, I've never eaten this before."
Because all they eat is chicken tenders
Chicken
and mac and cheese. Chicken nuggies and mac and cheese.
Palate of a 4-year-old.
Like, half the kids I have, dude, it's crazy.
The big draft.
The big draft.
Yeah.
Oh wait, are we doing 3 rounds or 5 rounds?
We got to do 3, I think.
Yeah, because it would.
Too many people.
Because when we do 3 people, 5 rounds, that's 15 picks, and then 5 people, 3 rounds.
We'll be forced to pick some shit movies, so.
Yeah, exactly. And
I don't even know if I know more than 3. Anyways, 4 or 5 tops.
I knew this is why Dad was going to struggle.
Good movies, at least.
But yeah, I could struggle. I could possibly struggle in this one, but this is combat sports movie draft,
Oh, yeah.
and me personally, I don't like.
You don't like movies, period.
I don't like. Well, yeah, I don't like a lot of movies, but I don't like, Bruce Lee. I'm just not into that stuff. Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, and those, not for me. So I think that takes a lot of the combat sports out of that. Karate and jiu-jitsu. Nope, see you later. But I do have mine.
I have a lot of reserves,
Who's gonna start?
so whatever you guys want to do, but I have
We
plenty.
should let the champ.
Well, let's let the champ
Yeah.
go first.
Yeah. All right.
Now, are we going in order of which one we think is the best?
The number
one
one
you
overall
yeah.
pick, the best, and then we'll go.
It's first round draft pick, so you're taking.
Are we
Yeah.
doing a snake
1 to 3.
draft,
We're
right?
doing 3, yeah,
Snake draft
snake
with
draft.
5 people.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're gonna start, then it's you.
Yep. Then Dad.
And me.
Coach
All
will
right.
go last because he's
But
probably
then you go
favorite.
again right out. You pick twice in a row.
Okay.
And then we go back in the snake.
All right.
Yep.
My number 1 vote has to go Bloodsport. I love
Good
that
movie.
growing
Bloodsport,
up.
all right.
That is what got me into that. Was watching that. That's what made me think, I
film.
want to fight.
That was
I
mine.
want to fight.
There goes one of Dad's off the table, so he's
That was,
screwed.
it was right there. That was my first pick.
I love that movie.
All right, so
All right, it's mine. I'm going classic. Never back down. That's what got me.
Fire
into it.
movie. I love it.
Never back down is
That's your number 1 pick?
yep.
Okay.
That got me into training, and I was like, yo, I want to do this. Like, I want to be like. I thought they were the coolest kids. Like when I saw the movie, I was like, yeah, that's definitely me. And then I saw Uriah Faber fighting, and that's how I got into it.
Classic nostalgia, but shit movie.
Oh, it's hey. So when I say like acting wise, it's terrible acting, but it's still a
Terrible.
great movie. I'll watch it anytime it's on.
Yeah, but like,
And you
growing
watch it
up,
too.
Freshman in high school, bro. Yeah, huge.
Huge. It was huge.
okay. I'm going with Rocky 1.
All right.
Yep.
Solid. I had that.
You can't beat it. I mean, that has to go in the first round.
Anybody to not have that as their first round pick.
Yeah.
I was gonna pick
Crazy.
that.
I have it on my list, but
It's literally the blue.
Now, once we get beyond like the second round, now we're all going to be screwed here a little bit.
All right.
Unless you.
Round number 1, number 4 overall. This pick, I choose Fight Club.
great movie.
Fight Club was definitely one of my favorites. Probably in top 5 of my favorite movies of all time.
Brad Pitt kills it in that.
Agree with that.
Started my own Fight Club in high school after watching it.
So now I can't pick Rocky, right?
I did see Fight Club. I did see
You
that.
cannot pick Rocky.
That already.
Yep.
Oh shit! I got some HogWash BBQ on my phone. All right, we're good.
Are we in round 2 now?
No, we got Aaron's pick.
Aaron's pick.
Coach's pick. Coach,
Last
you
pick, round
go
one.
twice in a row now.
Yeah.
I go twice in a row.
Yep.
So Rocky's off the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still pick other Rocky.
So, I'm gonna have to go for my number 1 pick. I'm gonna have to go. Well, this is tough now, but you know what? I'm doing it. Rocky would be my number 1, but obviously it's off the table. So I'm gonna go Cinderella Man.
Great movie.
He stole it from me. He stole
Okay.
it from me.
Cinderella Man
Great
is
movie.
a fantastic boxing movie. Great story, true story. But what's even better about it is I think it's some of the best boxing filming. Like the fight scenes, unbelievable.
I'm ashamed I didn't even write that down.
Stole that from me.
And you've got
I was like, that's.
You
I thought I was gonna.
you lead off the second round too.
Yep.
That was a great pick.
After this, I'm going huge movie, another award-winning movie. Martin Scorsese, Raging Bull.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm out.
Wow.
Scratch that off
My
my
boy
list.
Tony Andreozzi,
Solid.
right here, right? Italian, Raging Bull, Jake LaMotta, Robert De Niro. If you haven't watched it, you're doing yourself a disservice. Unbelievable boxing movie.
Yep. Jake LaMotta.
All right, then I go since the snake jumped back. So for my second pick, I'm torn, but I'm gonna have to go with Ralph Macchio in The Karate Kid, baby.
Yeah, that's a great movie. That was my next pick. That's classic.
John G.
Classic.
Elson, same director as Rocky 1.
Just
No Mercy.
Toby.
Okay.
Paul.
Find his seat.
Right, kids out.
Find his seat.
Okay, so this I may blow your mind up a little bit. All right, because people never thought of this as a sport because they're always thinking combat sports, boxing, MMA, stuff like that. Well, here's one: Gladiator.
Yeah, that's a fight movie.
Yeah,
That's a
it was
right?
a fighting
Yeah.
movie.
Gladiator was a
It is
classic
sport.
Russell
that's-
Crowe movie,
Never thought of that.
right?
It is sport. I
mean,
thought
that
of
was
it,
their
but I was
that
like,
was
I don't
their
think I
version of
should-
MMA and boxing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that was their entertainment. So that's absolutely a fight movie.
So I'm going Gladiator.
Smart choice. I saw it and I was like, no, I'm not gonna write it down, but it's smart.
Michael, you're up.
So this is second round. So we have one more after this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm screwed.
Makes it tough.
We get to the third round. I think I'm toast.
Don't say.
I'm gonna go with. I'm not gonna pick what you're gonna pick. This might surprise a lot of people, and I don't know if many people have saw it, but if you haven't, you should. Fighting with Channing Tatum and Terrence Howard, great movie.
Good movie.
Yeah,
Never seen it, but
half the other ones are already off my list that I wanted to pick. So
Okay.
So my next one is, I don't know if a lot of you have seen it, Hurricane.
great movie.
Ruben Carter story.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I'd say,
Denzel Washington.
yep.
Yes.
Growing up,
Denzel
that was-
Washington. Sorry, yeah.
growing up, that movie, that story, you know, I listened to Bob Dylan sing about it.
False
I feel like
imprisonment.
I feel like that story really kind of opened my, you know, when you're a kid, if you're not around a lot of stuff like that, you don't really realize it. I never saw the dramatic effect of racism and all that. And watching that movie, that storyline, seeing, you know, how all that went about, that was kind of it for me. That was one of the first movies that really got me to open my eyes to that when I was a little kid. So that's up there.
all right.
Oh, does he go with the
Now,
third?
yeah. Now, Tony, you go again to start the third round.
go backwards.
Your final pick.
Okay.
The third round.
Hold on. I gotta pull it. No, not the list. I can't pull it up. 1 second.
If you do have a list, you can pull it up.
Give me the list.
I can
I
say
didn't
this is.
even
I mean, honestly, on a technicality that I was beat on last week, you can pick a movie that has multiple sequels to it too,
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Rocky,
if you want. Rocky what?
Rocky 4.
Four?
I was gonna pick.
Dude,
that.
I love Rocky 4.
I think it's the best Rocky. It's my favorite Rocky.
Thank you. Yes.
It's the most entertaining.
yes.
It's the funnest Rocky.
I know Rocky 1 has that nostalgia with,
Yeah.
you know, the new thing and all that, and I love all that, but Rocky 4, that's what really hits me.
It's tough because some of these movies people haven't seen, so it's like you pick them, but they're truly some of the best movies. But I'm gonna go Embattled. MMA movie. It's a newer one. It's a great story, great
Michael,
acting.
that movie's trash, dude.
Embattled?
Embattled.
Yeah, no.
That has probably some of the worst acting I've ever
That's,
seen.
No.
that's awful.
Higher.
No,
Out
no,
of all
no,
the comic
please.
sports
How,
movies,
how did
Please,
you
let's-
not pick the
let him
movie
pick
that
it.
we talked about?
Let him pick it. Let him pick it.
We literally.
You know, fine.
No, no,
You
no.
guys have
Hey,
seen
whoa,
it.
whoa, whoa. No, I already wrote it down. It's official.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
fine.
you
That's
said
fine.
it.
That's
You
fine.
can-
That's
official.
fine. I'll stick with it because it's a great movie.
Okay, you stick with it.
Yep.
Done.
I could watch. I've seen it like over 100 times.
Okay, this is where it's now really, really slim pickings for me. I'm drawing here because I don't get in. Like I said, I don't really get into Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan style, karate type movies. But I am going to go with this one. This is a boxing movie, and this is The Fighter.
Yes.
Mark
that's on my list.
Wahlberg, Mickey Ward's. I love
He's
that.
next on my list.
So I'm going to take The Fighter.
Yeah. From this area too,
Yeah.
New England fighter, so it was a lot of relation.
All right. So for my final pick, I have between two movies, and I'd feel ashamed if I didn't pick one of my favorite MMA movies of all time. I might get shit for this, but it is a great movie. That's Here Comes the Boom. Here Comes the Boom. It's a great movie.
You don't get shit. You just get a lot of laughs.
It's a funny
Here
movie.
comes the boom.
It's a hilarious movie, and I think it represents MMA truthfully, and that's how it is.
But
Wow, I'm not.
Some of the scenes in Here Comes the Boom is true though. Like his first fight was like really shitty, not even on the big stage. That's how it is in real life MMA. Like some fights are like
I'm gonna have to pick
bad.
this movie just because it's getting disrespected right now, and I think it's the best MMA movie ever.
move it to the mic.
You might
Turn.
you might pick one.
So I'm moving this movie up just because we are talking about MMA films, and I think this film is the best depiction of MMA in cinema, and that's Warrior
Wow, Tom Hardy, great movie.
with Tom Hardy.
That I should have picked. I was gonna pick that over.
It's a great
Embattled.
story. It's a great storyline with the two brothers, estranged brothers. One being like a state champion wrestler, you know what I mean? Ends up being like this badass war veteran, and then the other one being like a low level UFC fighter who gets kicked out and then has to fight for it. It's an unbelievable story. And Frank Grillo's in it, amazing actor. He was in Kingdom also. He plays an awesome coach. It's a great movie.
And you had some
that's
pretty,
the best MMA
you have pretty strong picks.
movie. Yeah.
Cinderella Man, Raging Bull, and Warrior.
Those all those movies have been nominated for awards as well
Yeah.
in the Academy. Yeah.
Tony, you had Bloodsport, Hurricane, and Rocky 4.
Yes, sir.
Solid. I had Rocky 1, Gladiator, and The Fighter.
I like the Gladiator one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Joe, you had
Not
Fight
my
Club.
style.
You had Fight Club, Karate Kid, and Here Comes the Boom.
that solid draft.
Right.
3 of my favorite movies.
Michael, you had Never Back Down.
Second one's trash though, so I'm glad no one picked the second one.
What'd you have, Fighting? What did you,
Never Back Down, Fighting, and Embattled.
Embattled.
I think you lose.
All right, so you're probably out.
Literally 3 of the worst combat sports movies ever made.
Another
crazy.
lost
That's
draft.
all. That's all opinion though. That's all opinion. Like some of the movies you tell us to watch are trash.
Yeah, but it's everybody's opinion.
Yeah, you're getting
Right.
votes.
I don't
You need to
know
pick
if
a
you've-
draft.
I mean, I
You
don't
need
like
a
the
good
Gladiator. I'm not a big
I don't
fan
know
of
if
Here
you-
Comes the Freaking Boom.
team. Yeah, but you need a good team.
Kevin
Maybe
James,
you,
dude,
maybe
like,
not
I think
be
it's
a
fair to
good
say me
fan.
and Tony have the strongest picks.
Well, wait a minute. I think I'm maybe in there too, you know.
You have some strong
Yeah.
picks. I like that Gladiator is out of left field. I like
Yeah, it came out of
just
nowhere,
don't
right?
like Here Comes
Came
the
out of nowhere.
Who else? You have Rocky 1.
Rocky 1, Gladiator, and The Fighter was a. I had to come up with something in the third, but
Those three right there are huge picks. The Fighter and Rocky 1 is huge for me.
yeah. So we're gonna let the
All right, Rotten
viewers.
Tomatoes.
The fact that I don't have Rocky in my picks right now, we get 5 picks though, right?
No, this is
No, this is it. We had the 3.
The top 3. The fact that Rocky's not in my 3, like my dad's probably wants to shoot me right now, but I got taken from me, so I have to give.
Then I get the free tattoo because I picked Rocky. Then
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and I gotta give respect to someone.
Name some honorable mentions though, just so we can think about it.
Southpaw.
Southpaw's
I
a
want to
great
pick
movie.
Southpaw over
I
Here
love
Comes the Boom.
Southpaw.
Rocky Balboa.
Not a
Rock-
fan. I think
Rocky
it's the
Balboa,
worst- That's the
Rocky
worst
6.
Rocky movie out of all of them.
I think that is a crazy thing to say.
It really
I
is
think
the
you
worst
need to
one
go
out
to
of all
film
of them.
school. Rocky
The
6.
worst one.
Dude,
when
are
I
you
saw that in
serious?
theaters, we walked
Rocky
out.
6. This.
Swear to
I
God.
actually wasn't going to pick Warrior, but it wasn't being brought up as a great MMA movie, and I think it needed to be brought up. Rocky Balboa was going to be my next pick because Rocky Balboa was actually filmed on the back end of Jermaine Taylor versus Bernardo Hopkins middleweight title fight.
That's
and
cool.
Sylvester Stallone actually filmed it like an HBO pay-per-view fight. If you watch that fight, it's unbelievable. It looks like you're watching a real fight, down to the time clock, the way it's filmed, the cameras they used, the camera angles. It's actually filmed like a real fight.
It's a good movie. It's the worst Rocky movie.
At 60 years old, Sylvester Stallone took punches from Antonio Tarver, who was then the light heavyweight champion of the world.
So you think it's better than Embattled?
It's not even in the same realm.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not even in the same realm. So I would have picked Rocky Balboa, but I feel like Warrior needed to be brought
By
out.
far the worst Rocky.
I don't know if Michael understands
So many
the
bad
draft
MMA
here, but
movies
I'm
have
assuming
been
you do.
picked.
But I don't really think
How
you're
can
gonna.
you speak on a movie that you haven't seen though? Like
Well,
I don't think you're gonna rank
You need
in this,
the best
Michael. I'm
team.
sorry, but
movies are all opinion though.
I know
you
they
need
are.
the best
Like you
team.
just
You're
mentioned
drafting
Rocky
a team.
Balboa. Rocky Balboa is the worst Rocky movie there is.
That's
Rocky
like
5
terrible.
is notorious as the worst Rocky movie of all
Your
time.
opinion.
Even Sylvester Stallone, who made
That's
them.
your opinion though.
No, it's Sylvester Stallone's opinion, who literally created the
Hey,
film.
you're Adrian, not my best.
He literally said, he goes, I was out of it when I made that movie. I kind of just made it to make it. He goes, Rocky Balboa was me fixing
And he still made money.
the series. Of course he did, yeah.
Did anybody say $1 Million Baby?
Great movie, but one thing I'll say about that movie,
$1 Million Baby was the one that was
boxing?
just brought up.
the boxing in that movie is disgusting. It's literally trash. And the way that, spoiler alert, the way that she dies in that movie would never happen. Those fouls in a real fight would never happen. So I watched that movie the other day. It always makes me cry like a baby. But the fact that, like, I think you should have, like, on a movie of that scale that's going to be nominated for an Oscar, I think you need to have some factual things. You know what I mean? Some real. Don't you
Yeah,
agree?
absolutely.
It needs to be more realistic than that. And the fact that, like, this girl was just hitting, like, blatant elbows and, like, headbutting her and pile driving her to the canvas, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. It would never happen.
So, folks,
Unless
those,
you were fighting Willie Pep back in the 50s.
Yeah.
Who was that fighter? It was it Salty? The guy he fought him 3 times. They had a wild fight. I think it's literally called one of the worst boxing fights in history, and they were just ragging on each other, throwing each other around. It was a dirty fight, but it got
Especially, you know what I mean? Like, in women's boxing, where they only box 2-minute rounds. So, like, safety is such a huge, major concern to allow fouls like that. It just, watching that movie, like, the fight scenes are kind of ridiculous.
hey, we have about like 4 minutes left, but I want to ask you guys a question because this came up in our last segment and maybe the one before that. In your opinion, boxing, is Jake Paul a boxer?
Yes.
Yes.
Is he a legitimate, tested, bona fide boxer?
Yes.
In my opinion, he is as legitimate and tested as the man on the side of me.
Okay.
And this is my, you know what I mean?
Except for the man on the side of you has fought nothing but boxers, correct?
Yes,
Not basketball players,
but the only
retired 60-year-old people.
the only thing is, majority of the guys that are boxing right now, that are building their records,
Yeah.
are fighting low-level boxers with no amateur pedigrees, the guys that just, club fighters that just want to fight,
Yeah.
that just want to accept paychecks, low-level MMA fighters with losing records that go into boxing because it's easier to make a living in boxing and there's more opportunity in boxing, right? Those are the kind of guys that these dudes that are 12-0 and building their records are fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you look at Floyd Mayweather's first 12 fights, look at Mike Tyson's first 12 fights, all these different guys' first 12 fights, it's against guys like that. Whereas Jake Paul, listen, yes, the basketball player, outrageous. Yeah, that's not a real fighter. The Aziz, whatever, that guy, that
KSI or
that YouTuber that he
Anis
fought.
Gib.
Yep.
Anis Gib, not a boxer. But Tyron Woodley, Ben
Twice.
Askren, Tyron Woodley twice,
Yep.
Ben Askren, and especially Anderson Silva. I mean,
Yep.
you're talking about, in my opinion, besides John Jones, the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, the first guy to hold that title as greatest of all time MMA, and he beat him. Yes, old. Yes, way past his prime, but not too old to have had the performance that he had before Jake Paul.
Okay.
You know, so I have to give the respect to Jake Paul that he is in fact a boxer now. But is he in the same class as? Is he a world class boxer? No.
And the reason why I
He's
asked
getting
that
better.
question is because training, MMA style training, and boxing training is different,
Yes.
right? Even stances, different. You're worried about in MMA fighting the use of sweeps, takedowns, leg kicks, anything. You're not worried about that in boxing. right? It's
two things to look at.
right. That's what I'm saying. The sport is a little different. So when you're taking the retired guys out of MMA, bringing them into boxing, okay, it's one thing. They may have also, the Anderson Silvas may have lost a lot in their steps too. All right, I would love to see Jake Paul go against a legitimate 5-0, 6-0 boxer.
Yep.
A boxer.
I think Jake Paul would beat.
Not even undefeated.
I think Jake Paul would beat most of the regional circuit right now in New England.
Yeah.
As a cruiserweight, I think he would.
You know, look at, there's nothing, I would take nothing away. He trains his ass off. It's obvious. His cardio's in good shape because he's in good shape, right?
Go 8 rounds.
He hits. He definitely has some power behind him, right? And the one thing I've always said is he is a mastermind in marketing.
Yeah.
He is a brand.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about like the Conor McGregors of the UFCs. He's a brand. And people will like to shit all over him, but those are the same people that order that fight just to see what he's going to do, you know? So, just wanted to ask you on that one.
That was longer than 4 minutes, but
I know, but it was good dialogue.
It was worth it.
Shout outs.
mine are always the same. Shout out to
All right, so shout out to the gym.
Viewers, everything.
Let's give it to our guest first.
I'm going to have to go with my wife because without her, I wouldn't be doing this. That much I can tell you.
Yeah.
She makes it possible. I'm up training 2-3 times a day and leave the house at 3 o'clock in the morning and come home sometimes at 11, 12 at night. You know, it's wild.
And Nicole and the kids were at the fight, right?
Yes, they are. Yep. They don't come to
They were at the championship fight, weren't they?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
My wife comes to all of them. The kids sometimes, depending on you know what time or where,
Yeah.
they're a little tougher. They've been coming to them more or less these last few ones because they're getting older.
That was awesome.
They'll probably continue to come to them as long as it's maybe this next one being a 2-hour drive. They may not just because the drive is a little tough for them, but we'll see.
Like to see Daddy stick their tongue out and
They do. It's funny that during the fight, one of the best parts, one of the best recorded things I have from my last fight is I think I slipped a jab and I landed a big left and everybody was screaming, "Yeah, that was great. Do it again." And for the next 30 seconds, my son was just screaming, "Do that, Dad. That thing. Do that. Do it."
You also have the hands behind
that's
your back.
nice.
Yes. It's my favorite position. I land at like 80% from the behind the back position.
Aaron, who do you got?
I'm going to give a huge shout out to my wife because she's the only one that believed in me. As much as people say they believed in me, they didn't when I first got this whole thing started. So shout out to her.
Yeah.
And shout out to you guys because you guys have been, huge supporters of my gym and my program and of everything. And I really, really do appreciate you guys because it's hard to find. Loyalty is the hardest thing to find in the sport. The guy to the left of me is probably as loyal as they come. And so are you guys. So I really do appreciate it. So shout out to you guys and shout out to my wife.
And big things in the future for punishment striking. You're adding a little bit more format to the school, to the education side of it, to kids that maybe not so much medically fragile, but also special needs kids to come in.
Yeah, special
work
needs
with that.
kids,
Yeah.
kids with physical dependencies and
Fantastic.
muscle atrophy and stuff like that. It's a great therapeutic thing for them, and it's something that not a lot of other people are doing. That me and Tony have really done really well with and grown with the program over the past year and a half. So we're looking forward to expanding that to even more schools and stuff. So
Excellent.
The kids love it. It's both physically and mentally rewarding to them, you know.
Yeah.
They get that physical exercise out, but just seeing them in there and as it starts to click, it's sometimes it's tough
for everybody.
to do,
Yeah.
this perfect. But
Yeah.
once they start clicking and they're throwing that punch right and they can see your reaction, their faces light up. It's
Yeah, it's the
very
best.
mentally rewarding for them.
And if that happens, their parents are loving it.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Fantastic. Great work. Joey, what do you got?
Shout out obviously to Punishment Striking Systems, great gym. Then shout out to HogWash BBQ, great food. And then shout out to Punch Drunk, great podcast. Let's try and get a lot of subscribers over to the YouTube. If we hit 1,000 subs, then I'll do something. I don't know what it is. And we'll also do a huge giveaway. We'll do a
some kind of
huge
giveaway.
Brooks Brothers giveaway,
Yep.
Punch Drunk giveaway. So yeah, make sure you just subscribe and
I'll throw in a free membership to my gym.
Whoa.
subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. We also talked about if you have a segment that we select and we talked about it and we use it, we'll send you one of these Brooks Brothers hats.
Awesome hats, by the way.
It was really, really a pleasure having you guys. So my shout is first of all to you two, all right, for coming here in studio. Loved having you as our guest. I'm a big believer, huge believer in punishment striking system. The family, I know all the fighters there. They probably think of me as the old grandfather walking around, but I'm a big believer. And when you believe in something, you really buy into it. And all your fighters have bought into it big time. So that's huge for you guys. Good luck in the future. What do you have coming up in the next month or two?
Your two boys are going to be in the Golden Gloves.
Nice.
So we're doing that. We're going into that. I think we have 13 registered in this year's 2023 Golden Gloves for Southern New England.
Great.
So probably the biggest team going in again.
That's in January?
That's in January.
Yep.
So that's in January, and hoping to have a few go on to the All New Englands in February. And then that'll lead us into March for Tony's fight. And possibly another pro fight for John Gruber in February, our cruiserweight. So if that happens, I'm really excited to announce the opponent for him because Mike Brooks has some close ties to that opponent, and I think he'll be interested in going to that fight. So it'll be cool. I can't announce it yet, but maybe next time we're on.
Maybe next time you're on, we'll announce it then.
We'll announce it up. Be cool.
Excellent, excellent. Well, folks, you've been listening to the Punch Drunk podcast with the Brooks Brothers. And on behalf of them, I am Paul Brooks. Thank you for listening, tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Peace.
Later.
Peace out.